Hey everybody, welcome to the Rochester Press Box. Tariq Spence filling in for Bill Puckover. I have not taken his job. He will eventually return, I think.
Maybe.
I don't know. Yeah, you're right about that. Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate it. Kevin Oklobzija joins us this week. How are you feeling today?
Awesome.
Oh, well, good.
I'm in broadcast mode today.
I feel as if you've done some radio this week. You've done some TV this week. It seems like a lot of work for you.
Yeah. Wait a minute. You just said I did radio and TV.
Yeah, did you?
There's no work.
hey, I do both.
Man, 40 years in the media finally gets into broadcast mode. Just takes a little while to warm up.
Oh, I like it. I don't know about that. Of course, Pat Duffy, the Rochester Royals.
Yeah, NBA starting, Sacramento Kings, now or former Rochester Royals. It just felt right to put it on today. It felt right.
I like it.
Bobby Wanzer-esque, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And think about the Sacramento Kings. The Warriors season is over.
I honestly, and let me say, I miss the banner that they made, NBA champions that used to be in the War Memorial Atrium.
Yeah.
I miss that.
Yeah,
that should be there. That should be in that building.
Matter of fact, make it closer to the fans. You can take a picture with it.
Yes. Yes.
I'm sorry, just an idea. Blue Cross Arena. All right, let's get into it.
I mean, dust the plaques in the Amerk Hall of Fame first, but then get that banner up there.
Of course, it's the most important thing. This week it will all be about the NFL draft, the pageantry, the teams, the hopes and the dreams. Kevin, your
You ever
thoughts
hear
on
my
it?
idea for the NFL?
What are your thoughts?
Well, see, I think the NFL is so powerful, they add 2 days to April. And then every team in the NFL gets a day of the draft all of their own. And I'm actually surprised it hasn't happened yet.
I like that.
Oh, so we would spend one entire day on the Chicago Bears pick?
Yeah, I mean, the drafts would happen, but then each team would get their day.
Oh,
That's a great idea, actually. I don't hate that
interesting.
idea.
I don't know. They're trying to take over the entire year, so that might work. The entire month
Start
of
with
April.
this, and when you add days,
Yeah,
I'm
go
not sure
for
which month loses them.
Do you ever get tired of
I
it?
mean, one
though?
off of March, one off of May.
Do you ever get tired of talking about the draft? Because literally all it's been leading up to this upcoming Thursday has been, this guy's going number one, but we're going to do this. We're going to get a receiver here. We're going to get this there. Just get to the draft and these kids get a chance to get on an NFL stage.
Has anyone, over the years, gone through the mock drafts of the best of the experts to see, were they right? I like the guys that actually predict trades.
Yeah.
But that's borderline impossible. But
It is, but I like the guys who are willing to go out on a limb and say they're going to make the trade to go up to 6.
But then they disappear. You never hear from them
Because the other team made a trade. Now 6 isn't there, so they're...
But it's funny, to your point, no, I don't get sick of it at all. I love digesting all of this draft stuff because it makes me feel like I know stuff. But then to your point, Kevin, they have done studies before on these experts. And the best NFL prognosticators in the NFL draft nail 5 picks of the 32 in the first round, right? They don't know what they're talking about yet. Like an idiot, I show up with a big bowl of draft. I'm lapping it up no, I think I know what you're talking about. I see it coming tonight.
One good guess, Kevin. Here's the thing. One good guess. Somebody made a great prediction on Pat Mahomes years later, and it turned out to be right. And then you make one good guess this Thursday. It might make your NFL career.
Absolutely. And this is kind of where the teams that are the best, that have the best organization and scouts and front office, this is where they excel. And there's reasons teams consistently win. And yes, it has to do with coaching, but it also has to do with, just like in baseball. I mean, Tampa's farm system, holy cow! How can they keep having players? They let them... It's how you rebuild and how restock.
Okay, but I think baseball to football is a false equivalency because...
Well, probably is. But I'm just saying if you compare that's how the best teams stay the best.
But the best teams don't traditionally have the best way of drafting players. For example, the Chiefs the last couple of years have struggled. The Patriots, even when they were at their most dominant, Bill Belichick had a terrible record in the NFL.
Well, that's because he was trying to draft.
Well, no, but that's what I mean.
Stick with coaching. Do what you do best. Don't
Which is
think
why he doesn't
you're
have a job
best at
now.
everything.
He has no job now, and we wonder why.
It's true. But what's strange is the weirdest statistic, the Baltimore Ravens statistically since 1996 have had the most success at drafting, and they have 2 Super Bowls to show for it. But since 96 to now, when you look at the other teams like New England and Kansas City that have had their runs, dominant teams, Green Bay was really good for a while. You wouldn't have thought the Baltimore Ravens with Ozzie Newsome and the way that he developed his draft system and passed it on to the next general managers, you wouldn't have thought it was the Ravens, right? It's the Ravens. So even hitting on these
But they've
players,
been good. See, I just believe that there's a reason those teams have not had back-to-back or 3 years in a row of 3-13 or 3-14 nowadays.
You're right.
There's a reason that helps build continuity and consistency.
You're absolutely right. But even statistically, the best team at drafting since 96
This is on.
And they haven't been on a dominant run. It's just as much about what you do with those players as it is hitting on that talent.
You made an interesting point about wide receivers. There's a ton of them available, but they miss the most.
So statistically, wide receivers drafted in the first round have the highest miss rate of any other position in the NFL.
And that's what the Bills need. And that's really what they have to target. Either a defensive tackle, but with Diggs gone, there's either a plan for a trade or they know what they're getting in the draft.
You know what's interesting? We're going to cover the Buffalo Bills.
The last team that traded Stephon Diggs, though, did all right.
Well, I mean, listen, we'll cover the Buffalo Bills coming up next. I'd like to know, will they go with wide receiver and offense, or is defense on the table? You're watching the Rochester Press Box.
Just passing through, life lessons from notable Rochesterians, people you may think you know. Don Elhart, Maggie Brooks, John Dady, and Stacy Pension, J Mac and Soccer Sam, Fred Costello, and Jake Zembeck, along with 21 more. How they all got from there to here. It's a new book by Bill Pucko, available for $12 postpaid only from rocksportsnow.com. Try it, and thank you.
Welcome back to the Rochester Press Box. Bill's segment is here. We've got the draft. So much anticipation, so many thoughts. Pat Duffy, are you going for a new number one wide receiver?
I have no idea. I have no idea what the Bills are going to do. Look, I will say this. I've said it for weeks. I trust Brandon Beane in the plan that he has. I could see the Bills going in 5 different ways. As we just talked about, even the best draft prognosticators have no idea. I could see the Bills on draft night trading 2 first-round picks in a second to go get a wide receiver that we didn't think was on the table. I could see the Bills taking a wide receiver at 28 because it's supposed to be the deepest wide receiver draft in like 20 years.
And not every team needs a wide receiver, so there will be someone there.
Exactly. I could see the Bills feeling like they have to replace the talent Stephon Diggs was, trading a 1, 2, 3, and a 5 to get up into the top 10 to get a Marvin Harrison or one of the guys from LSU. And I could also see them taking a safety at 28 and completely blowing wide receiver off the board. Brandon Beane, for all of his faults.
I think the first call would be from Josh Allen if that happened.
Brandon Beane, for all of his faults. I think his best quality is that nobody ever knows what the hell he's thinking, which gives him the ability to act from a position of strength. Now, talk to me in 3 years. I'll from the draft night. I'll let you know if I agree.
Or in October when they're, who's Josh throwing to? So,
yeah, another point.
But again, they didn't make that trade without having some idea what they're going to do. There's a plan, and we don't know what it is, but they do.
But I look at the Deion Dawkins came out earlier this week and said, in Brandon Beane we trust. Does that come from the contract that he signed or the true belief that he has a vision that everybody will see come draft night?
Look, I think $30 million makes you like a guy a lot more. That being said, I do believe that these Bills players have bought into Brandon Beane. There was an NFLPA anonymous survey done last season where Brandon Beane was rated as one of the most liked general managers. They said that he always did good by the players that he brought in and the players he was shipping out. There's video of, you've seen this, at the Sabres game, Josh Allen went with Brandon Beane. He's hugging him like he's his best friend. You don't see that with players in management much.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what to expect when it comes to the Buffalo Bills anymore, especially after Stephon Diggs leaving. You want to get a number one receiver, but I don't know if it's through the draft. It might be through a trade. Who knows who's going to drop at the end of the year? There's been a lot of veteran players that have basically jumped from ship to ship to try to get on a Super Bowl bandwagon.
Yeah, but Kevin, as a guy who is the hockey expert in the room, you know that relying on a veteran to be your workhorse when the season starts is a terrible, terrible idea.
Yeah, that usually ends up not working, but who knows? Who knows?
Who knows, he says.
I mean, really, I mean, it just...
I feel bad because we have to go into the next segment, which is Like It or Not, which happens to do with the Buffalo Sabres. We'll get to that coming up next.
It's a new era.
It's going to have to be because you need a new coach if you haven't hired one already. You're watching the Rochester Press Box.
Here's the Press Box Trivia question, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road.
Hey, who doesn't love a good slice of pizza? Hello again, Michael Bryan, your getaway guy. I'm in search of my top 5 favorite slices in town. Look for the Getaway Guy now on Facebook.
Here's the Press Box Trivia answer, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
Welcome back to the Rochester Press Box. Like it or not, I have to start with you, Kevin. The Sabres made a move this week. I don't know if they've hired a new head coach by now, by the time we're recording this, but they fired their head coach. You kind of saw it coming.
Had to happen. Donnie Granato was the right person, I still believe, at the time. And whether he could take him to the next level, we didn't know at that time, but he got him to where he had to get him to. Turns out, they had some deficiencies this year. You can't start that many games so poorly and dig yourself a hole. You can't have Devin Levi as your starting goalie to start the season. I'm still going to say that is why they missed the playoffs. If they'd started with somebody else, if they had him here and started UPL, they would have won 4 more games. They'd be in the playoffs. But that said, it is time to move on. They did not. They showed regression, not progression.
Okay, look, I'm not here to say Donnie Granato is the greatest coach in NHL.
And I've known Donnie for 20-some years. I like the guy.
There we go. I know Don Granato. You know Don Granato. What I'm saying, I'm surprised just the way that they funneled through coaches that they wouldn't give him 1 more year based on how the success that he's had the first 3. And hear me out. 1, was it his decision to start with Devin Levi and that at the beginning of the season? Because that sounds like a general manager.
Maybe it may have been the general manager, but the coach wasn't able to fight that enough. So we need a coach that can fight back.
The GM's going to hire a coach that's going to fight him too.
Yes, any good boss would.
Yeah. Injuries, man. I know that's not an excuse, but you had significant time. Jack Quinn, Tage Thompson, Jeff Skinner, Alex Tuck throughout the season. You had to keep moving lines around.
Every team has got hurt. If your whole team is based on one guy, they're supposed to be beyond that.
5 guys. I named 5 guys.
They weren't all hurt at the same time, though. If you're supposed to be beyond that, this team was supposed to be beyond just relying on one guy.
Mm-hmm. You used to know hockey. I will say this. I am scared that Lindy Ruff ends up back behind the bench in Buffalo again.
I can see that. I don't say it's the right thing, and I don't say it's going to happen. I can see that. I can see Craig Berube. I can see there's a lot of coaches who either will be available or are available now.
But I mean, like
the NHL is like the NFL is known for. The season ends and boom, you're gone.
You're absolutely right. But Adams said, Kevin Adams, the GM, that he wanted to get this done as fast as possible in his press conference.
Fast as possible doesn't mean before the end of April. It may, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. And I'm going to let. He also may know. All right, this, as soon as they lose in the playoffs, that guy's going to be available. Okay. He may know that.
It makes no sense to me.
Or sense that.
I mean, and I don't know how you feel about this. Again, we're comparing sports these last couple breaks, right? How NHL coaches, with the pedigrees that they have, the success they can have with the team, can lose their jobs so quickly.
But they always get another one.
But that's just
we haven't moved on.
But we moved on with Don Granato. Look what happened there.
But Ralph Kruger. Look at the people who have coached that team since they let Lindy go. Ron Ralston, who said, Darcy, I'm not ready for this. Well, too bad, you're our coach.
Wearing garden gloves in practice.
And Ralph Kruger and it cheapers. Let's find a coach.
Cheapers.
I love that line. I just don't know nobody really uses it, but it kind of works.
Let's bring it back, baby.
This
Cheapers.
particular situation. All right, for the Milwaukee Bucks in the NBA, Giannis Antetokounmpo. When you come in a situation where you have a calf strain, that looks a lot like an Achilles. I'm not saying it is. They're saying it's a calf strain, but it doesn't look like he's going to play too much in the first round.
Look, if I was a Bucks fan right now, I'd have one word. Jeepers. Because you're going to have problems in the first round. Like, you have no chance of getting out of the second without a Antetokounmpo. And I agree with you. I feel like there's a lot of smoke. There's a lot of mirrors. I feel like this may be more than what they're making it to be. Because he was supposed to be ready for the start of that series, for the start of the playoffs. And all of a sudden this week, maybe not.
The Jets and Aaron Rodgers, sort of similar situation here with an Achilles, which we found out wasn't.
At least he's not playing on turf.
No,
or fake grass.
And Giannis isn't going on any podcasts and opening his mouth, which will make it think more difficult.
That we know of. We'll find out. Unfinished business is all the way next. You're watching the Rochester Press Box.
I'll say this. As a TV guy, I love Lindy Ruff. Lindy Ruff gives great sound bites. He's good. He's friendly. but he's got a personality to him. He's been around. He's Buffalo. He's been fantastic. And when he is gone, I'm going to miss Lindy Ruff. But I think that seat should be really, really, really hot on Lindy right now. This Sabres team is not great, but they're not as poor as they've been playing. They need something to change. And if I'm Terry Pegula, I spent all this money on this team. He seems to be really locked in with both Lindy and Darcy. He gave Darcy another year to try to rebuild this thing. But I think it's about time that Lindy Ruff either gets something done quickly or has got to go. And I don't know what they do next. I don't know what kind of guy. I got to tell you, Ron Rolston does a pretty good job in Rochester. Totally opposite personality, and I like Ron. Yeah. Not a great soundbite, but a technical coach, a smart coach, and maybe that's the kind of thing the Sabres need to get them going.
It'll be interesting to see what they can do tonight against the Bruins, a team they pretty much handled. One of their few wins this season. They have the Bruins on this Sunday night.
And at some point, Pegula has to put his stamp on this team. Something that represents him.
The Press Box Stat of the Week is being brought to you by McArdle's Restaurant in Fairport. Come home to McArdle's.
Came now to Eichel. He floated one.
Unfinished Business is brought to you by Greg the Roofer. Better roof, better price. Better call Greg today. Save time and money on your roof and siding. Call us today for a free estimate. Special financing's available. Visit us online at gregtheroofer.com.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Rochester Press Box. Tariq Spence filling in for Bill Pucko, and it's time for Unfinished Business, being brought to you by Greg the Roofer. Starting off first, Pat Duffy.
I mean, we were talking about the NFL draft in the opening segment, again with the Bills in the second segment, and I will say this, for as much as I don't know anything that will happen Thursday through Saturday of this weekend, I know one thing. I will be parked on my couch the entire time in his broadcast from the moment it starts all the way to pick Mr. Irrelevant on Saturday, and I'll tell you why. The NFL, if it does one thing well, is create entertainment, because this is something that I would watch as a elementary school kid when it would start at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday in April, and it was just Paul Tagliabue standing at a podium reading people's names over and over again. They're in Detroit this year. They're going to have 100,000 people live watching people read names while celebrities and musicians are performing, and you have broadcasts on 3 different networks live simultaneously. I don't know what it takes to start a brilliant business. If I did, I wouldn't be hanging out with these guys for Jeepers' sake. But I know if there's one thing you should look at to create success, it's the NFL, because it does feel like every single thing they touch turns to freaking gold.
Eventually. This is a league that had the draft on Tuesday mornings in the 80s.
Well, it's because I was working that day.
Tuesday morning, 9 a.m. They figured it out.
Did you watch it then?
I covered it. The Metrodome Press Box covering the Vikings draft at a Tuesday morning. Driving down there at 7 in the morning to get there.
Are you sure they didn't do a Tuesday morning to keep you off of national television?
There were a lot of people that wanted me.
Yeah, this is true, but not for the price of Days of Our Lives. That's pretty big.
So RIT Hockey coming off a national tournament berth. And what happens? Oh, the transfer portal. Carter Wilkie, gone. Now, he was probably going to leave to the NHL, he hoped, anyway. So they weren't really counting on him. But their goalie, Tommy Scarfoni, says, I think if I'm going to make the NHL, I have to play somewhere else. And to Wisconsin he goes. And he might be right. And now Aiden Hansen-Bukata has entered the transfer portal. So he's leaving. 3 major cogs, all who could have been back. And this is, in reality, college sports today. RIT can thankfully offer athletic scholarships, and that will allow them to bring players in who are much better than maybe what they had in the past. However, they're just a feeder program. Sadly, the lower schools, Syracuse basketball is a feeder program. And that's what the transfer portal and NIL has done. I'm not saying it's bad. I don't know if it's good or bad. But it's the reality of college sports today.
So Jalen Brunson, the New York Knicks, did not make the U.S. men's basketball team. And as a Knicks fan, I say, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to show that this man could actually be even considered for the U.S. basketball team. Have you seen the roster for this team? Of course, Jalen Brunson is a great player, and I would definitely put him on there. But you know what we're going for? The Knicks are going for an NBA championship. Yeah, I know. A lot of people, you'll be lucky if you make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't know if you saw what I saw this year. I saw a lot of pride in Madison Square Garden, a lot of fun in Madison Square Garden, and Jalen Brunson is a part of that. So he doesn't make the U.S. national team. I guess he's got some more to prove. But if he proves it by winning an NBA championship for my New York Knicks, I'll take it. And that's this week's Unfinished Business. Kevin Oklobzija, thank you for the time this morning. Double duty this whole week, radio, TV. What's next? Internet?
He doesn't know how to get on the internet. Look at him.
Don't do that's not fair.
He's got his neighbor trying to program his VCR for
Leave him alone. How could you do this? Pat Duffy, everyone.
I'm on fire. I'm in broadcast mode.
Oh my goodness. Oh, jeez. I'll have to get these two back together again sometime in the near future. Thank you for watching the Rochester Press Box. Enjoy your day.
I mean, who's 13? It was Tariq Evans.
It was?
Yeah.
Whatever happened to him? He was such a nice
Did
person.
something bad happen to him?